Hey everyone, welcome in. This is Julie Maxon, the main stamper. I am here for my Thursday at 3. So we are live. I'm doing a quick card class on a Thursday afternoon, and I have a really awesome card to show you. Now this is called a lattice front card. Now this may not be the technical term for it, but most people are calling this a lattice front card. Now if I open this up and show you the inside of it, you can see that there's like a lattice fence here. So there's a whole cutaway on the front of this card, and I have decorated mine with the Lighting the Way bundle. I have a shiny gold lantern, and I created a nice little soft yellow bubble glow there in the middle, and I've got some fireflies and a beautiful little like summertime sky. Now I have seen this technique all over the place. It is like the latest, craziest fad, right? So I had to try it, of course. And I have some tips on how to put it together and how to create it. Hi, Sandra. So good to see you on here. So let me know as you're jumping on. First of all, say hi. Let me know if you're new to me. I would love to know where you're watching from. And then we're going to talk about the lattice card. So let me know if you've made one of these yet, if you've tried this. There are some beautiful examples all over the place. It doesn't take you far in a search to find one of these. You can even do the lattice in like a brown fence. I've seen brown fences. I've seen people use grass on the bottom. It's just amazing how creative everyone is. But this is my version of creativity. And we're going to get over to my workspace and get working on this one. So let me transition over. Okay, so we again are using the Lighting the Way bundle. And if you're on my newsletter email list, you have this card recipe with a couple of pictures here, the recipe, the supplies I use, the directions, everything's right there. So I will be following along. This is the first and only card that I have made from this lattice fold. And of course you can, I'm trying to make sure we fit into the camera here, right? You can decorate the inside however you want, keeping in mind that the top here has an opening. So it is going to be peek through unless you were to put another paper on this side. But that kind of takes away from the lattice, right? I feel like it should have lattice. So Lighting the Way bundle, good news. It is coming back in the annual catalog as it debuts on Tuesday. It will not be a bundle. So this is the last couple of days that you can get this as a bundle. And I saw this in the spring catalog, and to be honest, I wasn't really excited about this stamp set and dies until I saw some people create with it. Then I loved it. So I'm just like you guys, you're watching things and you're like, I don't know. And then you see something with it and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to have it. The lantern, of course, is my favorite. Now this card that I've designed today is card kits for my online club. And you guys from online club, your card kits will be in the mail probably tomorrow. So there's a little bit of a delay. You don't have your kits yet, but you're going to follow along at home and do this. So when I do kits for my online club, I can't stamp anything as a demonstrator. So I really focus on the dies. And this set worked out perfectly because I have the die for the lantern and I have dies for the little fireflies here. And it's really that easy. So I chose something that I could use in that manner. So let's get into our beautiful card here. Now the first thing you're going to notice is the card base. This is the card base. It's the hot dog cut, right? It's 4 1/4 wide, and you keep 11 inches here long on your cardstock. So you're not cutting your cardstock in half the hamburger way. You're doing the hot dog way. And after it's cut, and this is a thick white base. I like to use the thick white bases. You're going to score this now at 5 1/2 because we're scoring this 11 inches in half. So I'm just going to make sure I'm lined up here at the top and scoring it just like that. Now you can burnish your crease down if you want to, right? So you've basically got a tent fold here. Let me bring in a bone folder. Let me find a bone folder. And once you've got this nice and flat, because you do want it flat because the lattice is going to kind of make it pop up a little bit. I feel like if it's squished underneath something for a while, it would sit flatter, but right now, not so much. All right, so step 1 is going to be to put our front. So decide which one is the front. Maybe one side looks nicer than the other, right? Whichever one is the front is going to go in your trimmer, and it's going to go in at, reading my directions, 3 1/4. So we're just going to chop off 3 1/4 from the bottom. So my score is right here, and I'm cutting off one more time, 3 1/4, and we've cut it off. Now don't move this paper, leave this one right here. But here's what your card base now looks like, right? It looks like kind of like you're making a joy fold card, right? Or something like that. But this is our card base. We're going to set that aside for a second. Now that this is in here just in the same position I cut it from, I'm going to use the scoring measurements to cut 1/2-inch strips. So I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to get 5 of these out of here. 1, 2, 1/2 inch. Keep your paper straight. 3, 1, couple more, 4, and we're going to keep moving over 1/2 inch. 5. Okay, so now you're going to notice that these are the 5 1/2-inch strips. This last one is wider, it's bigger. We're going to take this last one and we're going to put it in here, and we are going to find the halfway mark because I want to cut this in half. Now it doesn't have to be perfectly in half because the reality is it's like 3/8 of an inch, or 3/8 I think on either side. 3/16, let's go with that. So what you want to do is you want to make the last one is going to be skinnier ones, and these skinnier ones are going to be what holds this whole card together. So it's going to come on here on either side and hold all of these little slats together. Okay, so we are done with paper trimmer. Let me move that out of the way, and we're going to do a little bit of decorating here before we start. And the only reason we're doing this is because I wanted my designer paper to go underneath the fence a little bit here. So I just have a piece of Enjoy the Journey. This is a 2 by 4 inch piece of designer paper, and I chose it of course for the starry sky, right? It is fantastic. I love it. You may have a bunch of this if you got this free during celebration, or if you ordered it with the mini catalog. You could have all kinds of this paper sitting around. This would be a great way to use it. All right, so we're just putting it here, we're matting it here on this top flap before we get into our fences. So this is where we are going to I'm trying to find something that I'm going to use my circle punch here. I'm just going to hold this flap down. So use whatever you have, clear block, whatever you like. This is just kind of helping us to keep this straight here. And we're going to start lining up these strips. So I'm going to line the first one up at the bottom, and I'm going to line it up flush on 3 sides. And then I'm going to just come back through here, and I'm going to put this up at the top, leaving maybe 1/8 of an inch, and we're going to just kind of fill these in. And of course they're going to fit side to side, right? They're 4 1/4 inches wide, so it's the same as our card base. And just put them on in here, and there's nothing holding them down right now, so you can wiggle them around as much as you want. And kind of just, this is the fussiest part of this whole card, is just getting these lined up, liking where they are. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see it because I certainly cannot pick this up. And now we're going to bring in some glue. I'm going to slide this forward just a smidge. So when we do our gluing to hold these fence posts, we're going to call these fence posts now. Now these are longer than where we need to put them. So what you need to do, we're going to line them up on either side. Maybe the back side's easier so you can kind of see how they are here and here. Now if you don't line them up evenly at the top like Julie did on her first example, you're going to cover it up with, you know, a butterfly, a flower, an embellishment, right? So this fence post in reality is longer than this one because I wasn't paying attention. So like any good crafter, I fix my mistake by hiding it. So this is actually a longer fence post, and they are going to come down off the bottom. We're going to trim them up afterwards, but what we need to do is just, we're going to put a dot of glue. I'm going to hold this whole side down right now. So I'm just going to put dots of glue all the way down, not a lot, just like that. So I have 5 dots of glue, and then I'm going to lay this on here, and you don't want to wiggle it around too much because then your glue is going to move and it may not end up on the slat, it may end up in the opening. So I'm just going to hold this on here for just a second. So it's going to come up a little bit on the blue, and it's going to come off to the bottom, which we're going to trim later on. Okay, so now we're going to do the other side. And again, with the glue, I can still move some of these. Like this one shifted a little bit, so I'm going to just kind of move it back over. And I'm going to just hold these, you know, let these guys set up for just a hot second. A little bit of glue oozed out there. So you definitely want to be careful with how much glue you're using. I use my fingernail sometimes to push the glue back in. Okay, so now when you're good with that, we're going to do the same thing on this side. So again, we're going to line this up. We're going to try to do evenly. Now you can get out a ruler if you want to. You can eyeball it however you feel best. Okay, I'm going to try to use maybe a little less glue this time. And that one just picked up a little bit. I'll hold these down a little bit. Now I've seen different tricks and tips and methods and such, but I like to do what I can as quickly as possible without, you know, pulling out all kinds of products to help me to get this technique down. So this time I really tried, and I did a good job. I really tried to get these fence posts kind of evenly across here. I'm just gonna press this down for just a minute here so that the glue kind of sets up. And I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. Now, of course, you want to make sure your bottom one, I mean, the most important one is the bottom one here, because it is going to be, you want it to be flush against the bottom of your card, if that makes sense. Okay, so I feel like these are pretty good. And we let them set a little bit with the glue. And while that's going to sit for just a minute, we're going to let that sit for a minute. Let us bring in some of the products that we're going to use to decorate this card up. So on my original card, of course I used the lantern die. This is the gold distress paper. I'm so glad this is carrying over. The back of this is white. You really only need one side, right? So it makes the perfect lantern. So I die cut out my lantern. This, as you may have seen earlier, I had my 1 1/4 circle punch, so it's a retired item. But I punched out a vellum circle, and I'm just going to take the dark Daffodil Delight blend, and I'm just going to color this in really quickly. This is going to be like on the back of it, and this is going to be, it's wet for a second before it dries, but this is going to give my lantern a nice little glow. This is my glow globe. So I'm going to just set that aside, and let's bring in the bugs. Let's talk about the bugs for a second. So these are the fireflies. And originally when I started designing my card, I thought I wanted to do bumblebees. So I actually die cut 3 of these in the crushed curry and colored them in black. So these are going to make another project. I think these are bees. I'm hoping that they look like bees. And then I have these adorable little what are these called again? Lightning bugs. Oh my goodness, lightning bugs. And I die cut them, and this is the one I haven't colored yet, out of white cardstock. So I've colored 2 of them in, and again, I'm just using the dark daffodil blend, and I'm going to do the middle of his body, right? The part where he would light up, like the middle section of his body. And then with the light old olive, I'm doing his antennas and his back feet and his wings. So I'm giving him kind of some green in here because I'm not really sure what I wasn't sure what colors to use. I'm like, I think obviously yellow for the body, right? Because we want him to be glowing where he's supposed to glow. So this is just some quick coloring with the Stampin' Blends. Now, of course, you could use markers too. And that's how quick and easy it is to color my little bugs. So there's my little bugs, right? So on the lantern, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use glue dots. I used, I'm a liquid glue girl, so I used liquid glue earlier when I did my lantern to the globe, and I wasn't quite as thrilled with it. So I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to put a glue dot on the back of my lantern in 2 spots. The very 2 spots right before this opening. And I want the back side to be facing the back. Let's repeat that. I want the side that I colored to be facing back. I want it to be a little bit more opaque. So I'm going to leave, let's move this out of the way. That's very distracting to me. I'm going to remove the glue dot from my finger. All right, I'm going to put this down the way that I want it to be. And I'm just going to put this over top of it and let those glue dots kind of do the work for me here. So it's just going to glue dot on to my lantern, and I don't know if you can see, it's really cool. It has this like kind of opaque look to it. Maybe hard to see. Now it does overlap just a little bit from the shape of this wire, and I'm okay with that. If you're not okay with that, you could probably bring in your snips and you could probably follow this line up on either side and just trim this down so it fit perfectly. But that's all you need to hold this down, is just the glue dot top and bottom right there on the back. So it kind of shows the back a little bit better. All right, so let's bring in, I feel like this is probably pretty good now. We're going to decorate the inside. So again, I don't usually decorate insides of cards, but this one definitely needed it. So I just have a piece of Night of Navy, and this is a 4 by 5 1/4 layer. And I'm just going to mat this in here just like, you know, you normally would for your card stock layers. And then I have a piece that is 2 by 3 3/4. This is going to come in here. This is going to be our inside sentiment. And I have You Are All Kinds of Wonderful for this. So let's do an inside sentiment. This is the cling. there's a possibility that this one, I have to remember now, this one may have been orderable in the spring catalog, which should be for a couple more days here. This may have been an option where you could get cling or you could get photopolymer. And as it carries over into the new annual catalog, the cling option is no longer available. It's only going to be photopolymer. So that's another thing to think about. If you prefer the red rubber and you still want to get this, you have just a few days left. So there it is. We just want to make sure that this white sentiment on the inside is hidden behind our flap here where it's solid. So there's the inside. That's real quickly while I have the ink out. I just have a scrap here of white cardstock with "Thanks for lighting the way." Now this is a long stamp. This is a big stamp, right? You can see the difference here. And what's really cute is if you have a short stamp and you can stamp right on the lattice, like a hello, maybe you know, something small, right? "Thanks for lighting the way" which just doesn't fit here with my lantern. So I did a workaround, and I'm just going to stamp this here onto a scrap of paper. And we are going to get choppy with the scissors here a little bit, and we're going to cut this all up. But while we are talking about scissors, let's trim off the bottoms of this. So you can see the overhang here from my card. So all I'm going to do is bring it this way, and I'm going to cut these with my snips just flush, like so, and like so. So now, well, that one probably could use a little bit more trimming. There we go. So now they're more flush with the bottom, which is where you want them to be. So to put my lantern on, I did use a couple of dimensionals, and instead of guessing where I should put them on my lantern, I put them on the actual fence itself. So first thing I did was I kind of lined it up so I could see where it was going to go. Let me bring in the sample here again so we can see. We're making sure it fits here, right? You want it over far enough so you have room to do this, the stamp sentiment. So I know that I definitely want a dimensional down here at the bottom, and I want one more. I would like one at the top where this is going to catch right up here. So I can use this one right here, and as close to the bottom of this top slat as possible is going to be perfect. So I'm going to take the backings off of those, and now I'm going to lay my lantern down just like this. So I'm just kind of making sure it's flat and it catches on two spots. So those two spots are the only thing I need to hold on to my lantern, just like so. Isn't that awesome? And of course for the little bugs, I did use mini dimensionals because I wanted to like pop them up too. So we're just gonna go ahead and pop some mini dimensionals on here. And isn't this card so cute? I'm still gonna take advantage of the little fence post here. I thought my little bugs here should probably be kind of fluttering close to the light because I thought, you know, some bugs are very attracted to light. So I'm just going to put them kind of in a little triangle up here at the top. Now, of course, if you were making something similar, you can also do your sentiment on the top. You don't have to do it on the lattice. You can definitely, you know, use the space however you want. Let's see. Maybe this one needs to be going this way. A little trifecta here of little bugs. So how cute is this so far, right? I love this one. All right, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to get all of these words. I didn't even have to stamp that straight because it's all scrap, right? I'm going to chop the words apart. So lighting the way. That one's a little tricky because the T and the G kind of run together. That's the only one that I had problems with like trimming it. So basically I'm just trimming these down. Now, if you're a perfectionist and you're like, I need to like really cut around all of these up and down letters, you can definitely do that. But we're going to put thanks right there. And then we've got the for. And I just thought this was perfect because actually I didn't plan this. Like I was just playing with it and I was like, oh, this is so great because thanks for lighting the way worked like perfectly for the number of little lattice pieces that I have on my card front. I was so excited about that. I also wanted the lighting to be closer to the lamp. So when I put them on here, I'm going to kind of put them in that manner. So obviously if you are kind of chopping up a sentiment at home, you can decide how you want yours to lay out. Maybe you want it to kind of all go, you know, vertically in more of a, you know, different kinds of lines, right? You don't have to be back and forth like I am doing, but it's that easy. And then I'm just going to go ahead and, I know these are tiny. It's that easy, right? But we do have to glue these down. Now, this is great because it's white cardstock on white cardstock. So I didn't have to worry about like how straight are my little pieces here, because you know, it's not like it's a different color cardstock showing up on white where you're gonna be like, wow, that's a crooked cut. The white on white, tone on tone is very forgiving. It's one of my favorite things to do too. You definitely want to make sure that they're not wider than the width, so 1/2 inch of your little slats here too. That's another thing to think about. This is going to be a little bit different from my first one. I can see that already, which is great. And then the last one's going to go on here. And of course you can decorate, like I said, you can decorate these lattice cards however you want. It's just a matter of creating that little lattice front. But here are the 2 cards. Thanks for lighting the way. You are all kinds of wonderful on the inside. How awesome is that? So let me come over and I'm going to check messages. Let me get back over here to Facebook. Hi Jess, hi Jackie, hi Patty. And Regina from Germany, thanks so much. That's so awesome. The vellum is fun to color for sure, Jess. And it really gives kind of a stained glass look. And what's funny is in the die set, there's not a die that works to go inside the lantern. I feel like they missed something on that. They missed the boat on that one. They should have included some kind of a glass that would have fit inside the lantern, I think. But I did play around a little bit, and the 1 1/4 inch circle punches is close. I tried different ones. The 1 inch is a little small. So if you have anything with circles, Regina, thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate that so much. I love that you share this video with your friends. Thank you. So yeah, check and see what you have to play with. But I really felt like the inside of that needed a little soft glow. So it was fun to create something, and it's always challenging to not continuously use flowers. Hi, Jan from Minnesota. Oh my gosh, it's so awesome that you found me. Thank you. I have so much fun card making. I hope you guys have a good time hanging out with me too. So that's my Thursday at 3. It's I try to be short on Thursdays. It's not going to be a long demonstration, but how cool is the lattice card? So I challenge you to try out the lattice card. It really is pretty easy. If you can chop paper and glue paper, you can do this, right? And just take a look on Google, Pinterest, Facebook, just type in lattice card, lattice front card. You're going to see so many choices. You're going to get so many ideas. It's amazing what people have done with this lattice card. And I had a really good time playing with the Lighting the Way bundle because I haven't seen one out there that uses this bundle. And so it was just, it was really fun for me to create this. So thank you so much for enjoying this. I appreciate all your comments and your company today. And until next time, stay inspired, create something beautiful, share the love. Bye, everybody.